What's up, guys, ladies and gentlemen, nerds and gamers, and everybody else in between?
I am Timmy Teabag Combo.
And I am Adam Ronin. I didn't have anything witty.
There was nothing clever was there at the moment.
No, that was good though. That was good wit.
But we've got some news for you today, and something that I don't think would typically make news, right? But all of a sudden, like, the community jumped on it, so it's like, all right, we'll talk about it.
Yeah, this isn't like an episode of anything in per se, but this is just kind of like a discussional video. We want to open up the floor and just kind of talk with you guys about it because it kind of fits into the genre of fans that we have.
Right. And that's kind of the big thing is we do want to open up the discussion. So there'll be comments below. There's Twitters. You guys are more than welcome to throw any feedback out there. Of course, keep it somewhat friendly. But our topic today, the teabag.
The teabag. So some interesting things have gone down. You feel that?
Yep.
Right there. If you, oh, yeah. So you may know teabagging from old school FPS. You're just like Halo and Call of Duty, you know, where you go over your fallen foe and you teabag. You set your nuts.
Yep.
Right down on the face, just like that.
Crouch up, crouch up. In the fight game world, it's just down. We just hit down over and over again.
You just duck. Yep.
Yeah. And
I'm guilty of it myself sometimes.
And it's one of those things that just kind of comes with the territory, right? It's a competitive game, and sometimes you pop off, right? That makes these really hype moments.
That's true.
Right? So you win, you stand up, you get super excited, everybody's like, ah, everybody goes crazy, everybody enjoys the day, everybody moves on with it. That was not the case, and that's actually what brought this up.
Now, let's assume that they're uninitiated. What has happened? What has transpired? What
has recently taken place, basically, is there was a situation where two players were playing online. One was being perceived as disrespectful. He was taunting at the end of matches, right? Which is something, it's a function that's built into the game. The taunt, right?
It's built into almost every fighting game.
Yep, and some of them have incredibly humorous taunts. Like Rash, for example, has a great taunt. Yep. Right there, you just saw the dance. But what happened was, as it progressed, he started to teabag his opponent. That, unfortunately, escalated into social media with threats of physical violence.
Physical violence.
Yeah, like, next time I see you, it's gonna go down for real kind of a thing, right? So we're not naming names. You're more than welcome to look up the circumstances. We're not even gonna link it. We're just talking in general about these types of things today.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it got us thinking, like, in this situation, where do the chips fall? Where do they lay? Right. So, like, where does it go too far? Obviously, threats of violence are inexcusable in any sort of gaming scenario. It's childish and it's immature, and it makes your community of whatever game you're playing look terrible.
Absolutely. And the big outcome that we saw out of this one, the fallout, if you will, was that now teabagging was banned going into the Killer Instinct World Cup.
Yep.
And they said that should they catch an opponent doing it, that person will be DQ'd.
DQ'd immediately. And this creates a rift between communities because on one hand you have plenty of people, like even Keats, the creative director for Killer Instinct, against that DQ because he thinks that, you know, it should be allowed because it creates a psychological disturbance in your opponent and it's part of the mind games, which I can get on board with. I do feel like that is probably something that is a bit overboard in DQing it. Now, this isn't new. This was also banned in last year's thing, but it's just now becoming like a big social issue. You know,
one thing that I've heard repeatedly is that it's basically unenforceable. You know, I mean, how do you have any kind of distinction between watching Daigo play in a match where he turtles, he's just walking forward, it looks like he's walking forward, and it's like, oh, he teabagged me, he's out, he's done. It's just, it could be stylistic interpretation, it could be blocking, you know, it could be a mix-up, whatever it is, it's going to be near impossible to just be like, oh, that person teabagged me, they're out of here. So it's an incredibly difficult rule to try and enforce in the first place, but I feel like we really had two different things occur here. Right? You have the old school teabagging, which, you know, we grew up on quarters. Yep. You and I. You had to stand shoulder to shoulder next to your opponent.
Much like now.
Yep. You had to put a quarter down. You know, if that guy was talking trash about your mom or whatever, you just had to hold it. Right? That was kind of the motivation to get better. You know, the pop-offs, all of that are truly ingrained in competitive gaming now. It's just what it is. It's the culture.
And truth be told, if I can be so honest with you, Timmy Teabag Combo, back in the day, you know, in our day, you're at an arcade machine, you're throwing down quarters, you're fighting, and you get disrespected. Odds are, 9 times out of 10, that middle school kid isn't going to even pop off. He's not even going to say anything. Yeah. This is just a product of online egos that we have in the ecosystem of online gaming, where you talk bigger than life. Absolutely. And it's become a poisonous environment for a lot of people. You know, going back with Call of Duty, with the younger audiences, or this and that to say about this and that. It's no different than that, and it's just immaturity at its finest. And yeah, so if it wasn't like, if this is a Killer Instinct Cup, you teabag, the guy's just gonna be like, okay, right. He's not gonna like pull out a gun and punch you.
Exactly.
Let me cut that out. he's not going to like reach over and punch you in the face. You know, it's just not going to happen.
Right. So these are safe environments, right? These are protected environments. We had, you know, there have been fights in the past at these things. Those players are typically thrown out. You know, there was a situation last year at Combo Breaker where there was a sexual assault that occurred. Does that mean that we're going to ban women from being at these tournaments?
No.
No, we're going to ban that one person from this.
Yeah.
Now, corrective action has been taken in this scenario, but now we have to really look at this and go, like, how is this going to snowball in the future for other esports, right? Because we're talking about a functionality that's built into the game, right? The ability to go up and down.
The ability to go up and down,
right?
for
and
sure.
There's so many ways to disrespect a player. For instance, I get tilted when people ultra. Fatality is the same thing, right? Like, and just like, I gotta sit back and I have to watch it, and then like this guy over here will be like, shadow cancel, instant cancel, ultra again.
But it's all
like 112 hits later. I'm just like, I'm gonna run it back right now.
And it's all in good fun. We do those things because we see our buddy get tilted, and it's like, take that, you know.
Exactly, and that's like you were saying earlier. That's the psychological outcome of this, right? Like, it's something that as a competitive player you have to kind of grow and adapt with, and you have to endure, and it's definitely something that you're going to endure if you're playing online in any video game out there. You know, fighting game, FPS. I don't care what it is. They'll figure out a way to teabag.
If you're online, if Sims had an online mode, people would find a way to harass you and obsess you.
And your character would be like,
I'm gonna fucking kill your baby. You know, like or whatever you do in Sims.
Kill babies.
Just assume.
I'll have to check that. I haven't played it for like 10 years. You know, but you look at other esports. Like that's kind of like that's the hot word, right? Everybody wants their game on ESPN. Right? They want all that money that comes with that. They want the notoriety that like League of Legends players have, for example. So we saw Capcom recently. They were on ESPN and they banned using Armika's regular costume because they thought it was too revealing,
too sexualized.
Right. So you could look at something like this and be like, it's bad for esports for us to have that in there because you know, kids at home watching it and he's like, oh my god, NuckleDu, mom, look at NuckleDu win, and she's like, what is he going up and down like that? He's like, oh, he's teabagging, and she's like, tell me more, what does this mean? And he explains it, and then she's gonna be like, no Street Fighter for you. Right, and that there we're talking about the most, you know, recognized player in Street Fighter currently. He is the current reigning champion and a notorious teabagger.
Is that true?
Oh yeah. Oh,
interesting. I didn't know that.
NuckleDu will drop some teabags on you for sure.
Some knuckle bags. So, like I said, we just want to open this up to a discussion because there's two schools of thought here. One school says, no, this is ridiculous. Grow up. You know, it's just a form of, you know, on play. The other school of thought is and I'm just gonna say it. The other school of thought is this thing that's happening in gaming and in media all over where everything has to be PC and safe and this and that and this and that. Oh, we got to protect everybody. Like, I got to say, just this is ridiculous. Like, teabagging is a part of the game. It's part of the sport, so to speak. It's no different than a football player showboating, even though that is frowned upon. But it's just a different form of it, and I don't think that it should be taken with such drastic measures. My opinions.
And that was the funny thing too is I even saw a comparison to that earlier, where somebody was referring to the NFL because they do have excessive celebration penalties that occur. Like they are within a structure that they have to do. But that is all within the structure of the game, right? And so as long as you abide by the structure of the game's rules, you're okay. So I think pressing the down button, totally acceptable. If you feel disrespected, buddy, quarter up. It's probably time to get a little bit better, right? You know, maybe ask the right questions, like, why is this guy beating me so bad? Why is he able to showboat over there? Why can he taunt me, right?
Because that's just the thing is, you know, there are better players than you. There always will be, and that sometimes some of them are just dicks, and that's just the way they show their skill. And the question really is it should be a per basis. What am I trying to say? It should be a per basis type of thing. So like if this happens at a tournament and a DQ, there should not be a DQ unless a threat of violence is there. If the guy you know, throws his controller down in a violent way or threatens him physically, then DQ that MF.
You know, hey, you go to the parking lot, you smash your controller. That's hilarious, right? That sucks for you. Go buy another one, buddy. You know, you threaten physical violence, you should be removed from that tour for the remainder of the time, with a possible suspension and review going into the year after, right? This is a safe environment. We talked about this when we were doing the sexual assault thing. We recapped on that as well. You know, this is the ability for guys to be able to go out there and play and have fun and just be safe no matter what your age, you know, what your sex, what your gender, whatever it is. Like, you're just out there having a good time. So those threats are unacceptable, and I feel like, you know, the fallout of this was we're basically getting something else spoiled due to you know, this, and because
Yeah.
of it, like lots
Totally.
of hate messages have gone around the internet today. So it was just like a cancer spread out of nowhere. So the fact is, people are always going to find a way to disrespect in a game. You know, you can ban teabagging. I was telling him earlier, my go-to move is just sweeps. When I disrespect a player, I just sweep them over and over again because it's frustrating. You get knocked over, you stand back up, you get knocked over, you stand back up, and you just toy with them. You know, in terms of competitive gameplay, if somebody wants to taunt and they lose, that creates the hypest moments you can possibly imagine.
And it's
no matter
so
what form.
it's so satisfying to see that someone who teabags or disrespects or taunts excessively, and then they get their ass handed to them. You're like, yeah,
like they perfect first round, and they're like, I'm feeling myself. What you think about that? What you think about that? And then they lose the next two, and then you go back to that scene, and they're like. And the other guy's like, hold that for me. So it's not something I feel you can remove from the game. I feel banning it is definitely an overreaction in this scenario.
But unfortunately, this will carry over into game development. You know, developers are going to be super nervous about it, and they're going to take out taunts altogether in future releases. Mark my words.
Yeah, that's sad.
Because everyone's so afraid of everything now.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
But what do you think? We want that's the whole thing. We want to just kind of
Yeah.
talk about this in a respectful way. If you have opposing views, that's totally fine. But voice them respectfully. We're all a family here.
Yeah.
So comments. Boom.
Maybe you have something you want to point out on Twitter. Here. Maybe you come from that Halo Call of Duty world and you have some examples on how things went right or how things went wrong there.
Yeah,
definitely
true.
let us know. More so than the online world. More on the competitive side of things.
Yeah, I'm curious how
that's
this
what we're
does carry over into other competitive esports that maybe we don't have as much knowledge on. So if you do, we'd love to hear the
right. Like
the
what's a form of
situations.
disrespect in League of Legends or other MOBAs and
Yeah,
stuff. Like,
that's true. I
Like
have
when
no
you
idea.
play like Warcraft, like what's your go-to move for that, right? I'd be very curious to know and how it's handled there. So Twitters, comments, if you like things like that, click on the subscribe button up top.
What am I doing right now?
up top.
Am I disrespecting? I'm disrespecting Timmy TJ combo.
Timmy teabag combo. Timmy teabag combo. Gonna drop the combos. That's what he does.
Your mom's down here.
Oh, bro.
Yeah.